and welcome to Quick Chat with Who You Know.
No.
Hey everyone! Welcome to our episode today. We're going to do a quick chat with Mike from Odd Moe's. It's great. We see him on the other side all the time interviewing people. And today we're going to take the time to interview Mike and get to know Mike a little bit with our quick chat. Mike.
Yeah.
How's it going? I really want to know because I spend time with you.
Yeah.
And we have lunch and we've gone fishing and we have breakfast and stuff like that. And
yeah.
So I know about the story about Odd Moe's, and I know that you've been in the pizza industry, but I don't think everybody else knows. So where did you start? Why do you have this fascination about pizza?
How far back do you want me to? You want me to start with a pizza journey?
No, when you're 3. No. How'd you land on the pizza industry?
Well, it was always a part-time job.
Okay.
I mean, and I had zero interest in doing the pizza industry. I just had a blast at it. It was almost like too fun of a job to think it would be a career-minded thing, you know, because we just... You know, I mean, here I am early on working at Pomino's Pizza, you know, standing on the cut table screaming Highway to Hell from AC/DC, you know, as it blares and the whole thing as I'm opening the store in the morning. So, you know, I mean, I really didn't take it too seriously, clearly.
Right. So that was in the 80s?
Yeah.
That was the 80s. So let me ask you a really serious question about that.
Okay.
Did you have a mullet or did you have long rock hair?
Oh, no, I had a perm mullet. I had a mullet down here that was perm.
Oh, what's popular now?
Oh, I'm telling you, it landed the
Highland
That's all I gotta say. It
Cowboy is
landed
what it
them.
is.
It's all those baseball players that have it done. Now I see all these videos of
Yeah,
these
it's coming
boys
back.
on-
I don't think they should be bringing it back, but you know what?
My 13-year-old has that. So.
It
Yeah,
was,
it's a
and it's
popular
time.
thing.
In fact, I've got a picture that I'll bring you.
I think that would be a great thing for you to email that picture to
I'm
Ashley,
gonna already put it in here.
so we can put it in this. because
Okay. All right.
you do it, I'll do it. I have one too. I
right.
didn't have a mullet. I had the perm.
Oh, what's?
Yeah.
I don't know what this
I carried a pick in my back of my hair.
Fro. It's called
a fro.
a fro.
Yeah, a fro. There we go. So you're screaming out Highway to Hell.
Yeah. Well, back then it was, you know, wild and reckless. I had to learn the difference between wild and reckless, though.
Oh.
Learned a lot of hard lessons.
Do you want to go into that a little bit?
No, this is about work.
Okay.
This
okay.
is, but
This is about Mike.
But
Mike
I will say
Sublett
that my
and his
first,
journey.
my first crew that we worked with was called the Zoo Crew, because back then it was like 30 minutes or less for delivery, or 30 minutes or $3 off eventually is what it kind of turned into. But no, so it was kind of a madness thing. If you didn't have like 30 tickets, you were not considered, you know, part of the group.
Right.
So I think I had 6 tickets my first 3 months, you know. But back then you could have tickets and not get, you know, not too big trouble.
Right.
And
But
you're
no.
talking about speeding tickets? Is that what we're talking about?
No, probably stuff like excessive tire noise, evasive lane change.
You were that delivery driver on like Toy Story that's like,
Yeah, pretty
whipping
much.
the gas
Pretty much.
station, I gotta
Yeah.
get gas
No, it's
real
great.
quick.
But no, so I kind of did that, and then, you know, I worked in different locations for them and did traveling. I was like worked in Moscow, Idaho, and then Pullman, Washington, and Pendleton, and back into Walla Walla and stuff. And so I got to travel around and meet and get familiar with different locations and stuff. So that was cool because you work with different crews, you know, different managers. You know, like I said, it was my full-time job at that point, but I also worked a part-time job first thing in the morning. So I go to work from 5 a.m. till 10, and then at 10:30 I'd show up at Pomino's. And I keep saying Pomino's because I always switch the words around, you know, like Pomino's Pizza, Mappa Perfis, things like that. It's kind of a, you know. So if you hear that, I'm not trying to avoid. I'm not trying to avoid. You know, like, oh, I can't say it because you know I'm going to talk. You know, no,
You're
it's
like,
not
I'm
that.
not branding them now.
It's
That's past.
it's a tick. You know.
Yeah.
And, so I used to work there, and then I go to work at 10:30 and work until like 8 or 9, and I did that, and so because you know back when I was younger, I worked 2 jobs usually all the time, but usually I had a main job, and then pizza was always my second, and so ended up having a job at an oil field. And I had a part-time job in a pizza place that was in a mall. So a pizza by the slice in a mall in Walla Walla. And I got an opportunity, and the owner kind of saw me working, and he was doing like a spot check kind of thing. And the gentleman said, hey, he goes, you're like the first person that's ever got like a perfect score on my big old long thing, whatever like that. I'm like, oh, yeah, by the way, I've got to put on my 2-week notice today, you know.
Oh.
It was the same exact day. And he's like, really? And I'm like, well, I need to have something a little bit more significant kind of thing. And so I was like, okay, I need to get serious. And, you know, doesn't matter that I'm working 2 jobs. That's not it. That's not going to do it. And so I just was going to quit that night and try to go find something a little bit more, you know, stable, whatever. And he goes, give me a couple days. And so the very next day he called me and he says, hey, I got an opportunity in Coeur d'Alene as assistant manager, and then I'll get you a store as soon as I can. So 3 days later, I was living in Coeur d'Alene on Hayden Lake. Beautiful.
Oh, wow.
Two
That
and a
is a
half-
beautiful area.
Yeah, 2.5 months. It's very different now, but then 2.5 months later, I was in Great Falls, Montana, and then 2 months later, I was in Yakima, Washington.
And what were you doing?
Pizza. I was just
Pizza.
opening stores.
Oh, you're opening like a manager type.
I was
opener?
assistant manager in Coeur d'Alene, and then I was manager in Great Falls.
Okay.
And then we opened that store. I was right out of the gate opened that store, and then went to he sold a van for me to be able to do that. I thought that was really kind of cool. He goes, hey, what I'm going to do. And so he ended up selling one of his vans to have the money to go ahead and get into a new location. So that was kind of neat.
Very cool.
And so I did that, and then I went to Yakima, and then opened a store in Yakima underneath an escalator around a corner. It was great. Crushed it there.
Oh.
And then met my first wife there. She came down to get a Snickers bar. And then I was like, hi.
I can just see you doing that too. That's the fun thing.
So, and then from there, I went to Woodland, California as a business partner of his. And, we went 50-50 in a pizza by the slice. And so that's kind of how I got launched into it. But it wasn't like intentful. So after that, sold my half because I wanted to grow. I wanted to, because the malls were going down at that point, like 3 to 5% a year, and they had 80 stores inside the mall with the 4 anchors. But there was a lot of dark holes in there, so blank spots, and so they were starting to get more and more. And so I was like, I'm on the outside in a way. I wasn't on a pad, but I was on the outside, and so I'm like, hey, I could deliver out the back door basically. So let's go ahead and open up delivery. And my business partner did not want to do that, and so I was like, I'm shrinking. This is like a no-win situation. So I talked to him and basically got my initial investment out plus a little bit more, and then moved back into Salem, up here to Salem, and thought, you know what? I got all this money now. I'm rich, because I didn't come from money. So having a little bit of money was like, I'm ready to go.
Right.
I'm not ready to go.
Right.
And then so I bounced around here, managed different stores and locations, and then ended up going back down to California and had a couple different stops. I actually was going to start, it was Mike and Deb's Dinner at Your Door. And so way back then I had an idea or a vision to do what people know now as this common third-party delivery. So I had four or five restaurants on board.
So
It
you're
didn't
doing
really
the
work
delivery
out.
business thing.
Yeah.
So like old school DoorDash? Oh, see, if you would have just kept going with that, look where you'd be now.
Again, didn't really work out, as far as that goes. So from there, we ended up going down to California, and then my wife told me, you need to get back in the pizza industry.
Yeah.
In no uncertain terms. And so, because I guess that's where my passion is. And I called some people I had done business with, and I said, hey, I need to make this amount of money in this much time, and, do you have any opportunities? And so I ended up moving back up into Woodland, California, which I had been before. That's where the Pizza by the Slice place was. And ended up, eventually within 5 months, I'd worked myself up to being the director of the chain of the company, which had 15 locations at that time.
Oh, cool.
So I went from being like an assistant manager out in the outlying store to, I got to explain a little bit. I told my wife at the time, give me 6 months, and we'll have an opportunity, right? Well, it's 5 months in, and the gentleman that I was going to do that with changed. And he was like, no, that's not what we were going to do. I'm going to do this. You're going to help me do all this. Then we'll do that. And I'm like, that doesn't work for me. And so I had found another job as a janitorial manager for nursing homes. Not my strength or skill set. And so I was like, but I promised my wife that I would get a job that had a good salary, great benefits, and I would just do that. The owners of the company, Shapur and Reza, came and talked to me and says, hey, what happened? And so that's how I got the director of operations, is they said, would you like to do this? And so I went in there and it was a really thing. I think that's the thing that really set the tone for where I'm at today, because that company was very multicultural. They had 15 locations, and every store had a different culture in it, whether it be Romanian, Ukrainian, Russian, not Russian, but, Indonesian, Vietnamese, Laotian. I mean, it was all kinds of different cultures and stuff. And so it gave me a really good opportunity to crawl in to, their perspectives on business, family, success, things. And so that was a huge learning experience for there. And then I ended up coming up here and starting my own. And basically just the same thing. It's like they capped me. They changed my bonus 4 times in 5 months because I kept...
Oh, yeah.
And I think it was like 3 times in 5 months, but that bothers me. It's like at that moment I knew that I would always have a ceiling, and didn't matter how well I was doing because they would just restructure how things were done.
Yeah.
And so I said I'm done. I gotta go. So my business partner was one of the managers down in the location, and him and I became really good friends. Mm-hmm. And Sam and I moved up. He'd never even been in Oregon before. I'm like, Yeah, I told him, I said, we'll get you an umbrella and paint the back of your neck red. Mm-hmm. You'll fit right in. Mm-hmm. Now, he had no idea about the redneck part, but...
he didn't understand that one.
I was like, what?
Now, how'd you meet Sam?
That was where I met Sam.
Oh, Sam. Okay.
Yeah, basically, he became the manager of a location 3 days before I became the director of operations of the location.
Okay.
But before that, we played like football and tackle football on Saturdays, and we used to because I lived in his area, mm-hmm. and we'd sit out and play chess mm-hmm. in my little small, about big as this room backyard. We put a table out there and play chess, and he would destroy me every time. Mm-hmm. Not so much anymore. But back then, 100 games, he'd win 100 times.
Oh wow!
But I don't care.
No,
I just keep
awesome.
learning, get better.
Yeah.
So that's where Sam and I had met, and then we just kind of grew and stuff. And then when we came up here, it was pretty fast start. We opened up like 5 stores in 4 years.
Oh, wow.
And that was mostly due to people. And because we negotiated ourselves into the first store, had almost nothing to get in there. But the landlords were so taken by what our direction was and what our the energy and all that they actually helped negotiate with a bank out of Michigan to get the cost of the equipment down enough to where Sam and I could just crack the door open. Mm-hmm. So we did that. And
I hit the ground with your feet running, huh?
Yeah, and then Gary and Joanne were the ones that were the landlords of that building, and they gave us help getting into another location as well.
And at that time, it was Primetime Pizza.
Yeah, it was Primetime Pizza.
So you started Primetime Pizza,
yeah.
And you had 5 locations.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how did that transition to Odd Moe's?
One of our, when you first sat down, you're like, okay, these are the 3 main core ideas that we have going into the whole thing. When you said, this is what we're going to do. One of those was to transition our managers into franchisees.
Okay.
And because there's this whole thing of like how you really grow a company is every 2 years you fire a manager, no matter how good he is, you get a new manager in there, and you just do that in a 2-year cycle. And there's a whole philosophical approach to that.
I'm not going to let any of my managers watch this video,
yeah.
just so you know.
Well, different business.
Okay.
And this is, but
different industry.
You're
yes.
like, they're not leaving me.
And so, but I didn't, Sam and I didn't really want to do that. We wanted to create a nucleus and go kind of a different route. And so when the 5-year time came up, we said, okay, this is it. And so we went to get the name Primetime, trademarked, but it's too common for us to trademark. And it was weird. It's still not trademarked to this day because there's all these major multimedia companies. Because you think about Primetime News, you got Prime, all this stuff. And so we could have thrown our hat in the ring, but then of course it still would have never panned out. And so we had to change our name. And so during that time, it was like, I think we're about 4 months into trying to figure out a good name, and it's really difficult. To give you an idea how difficult it is I love the idea of being knuckleball pizza. I thought that would be so cool because you have so many things you can do, like, because a knuckleball is really squirrely, and it is thrown at like 60 miles an hour instead of 100 miles an hour like they throw them now. So you could just, because we tossed pizza, so he's like, you can toss them soft. There's so many things you could play on with a knuckleball pizza. It's attitude, it's energy, it's all that stuff, right? But the problem is when you say, I'm going to go get pizza at so-and-so, you always say, like, I'm going to go to Pomino's, or I'm going to go to the Hut, or it's always like that, So if you shorten knuckleball pizza, you get, I'm going to go to Knuckleballs. And it's like, okay, we can't have that then. So out that went, But it's hard because you want a name that's a shorter name, or not too long. It's not too this, not too that. It's got to sound, like franchise, but not that local. And it's really difficult to find a name. And I remember my sister got sick. They got her a support cat, and this was an orange cat. And it was an orange cat out of a litter of all black cats. Mm-hmm. So they called the cat Odd Moe. And as we're going through this process trying to find a name, I'm like, I couldn't get that name out of my head. I just love that name. And so I went to Sam and I said, hey, I pitched this idea. There's a pitcher from the 1970s named Mark Fidrich. They used to call him the Bird. Oh. And he used to build little mounds around the mound. He talked at the baseball, He looked like he was a 12-year-old kid up there pitching baseball because he just was so effervescent. It was Detroit Tigers. Their stadium would sell out whenever he pitched, even though it wasn't a great team, because he just had that kind of impact on people. And so I went there and I said, hey, I would like to create a character or a mascot named Odd Moe, that is going to resemble the impact that Mark Fidrich made on that community, that we can make that same impact with him here, kind of thing. Just kind of that same philosophical approach and the same energy and the same everything, and I thought that would be kind of a good, connection. So that's where Odd Moe came from.
From a cat.
From a cat, technically.
I like it.
It's also pays homage to my sister, too,
Yeah.
So.
That's really great.
But, I couldn't tell that story of the first 10 years without, getting super, super emotional. So I'm getting better at it. But, hence why we support cancer. Yeah. So, well, there's a lot of reasons why you support cancer, but that was what kind of got me started, was always wanting to do something to help cancer awareness and stuff, is to do something. And so that's how it came about. And then my mom passed with cancer, too. So, by the way, cancer sucks.
Cancer does suck. So it affects everybody at one point in their life. So it's terrible. What? So you had 5 stores that you converted into Odd Moes, and then tell me about the journey. You have more.
We had 5, and then we took a step back. Just we couldn't find the right person, and that's what really about business. That it's not about money; it's about people. And when you can't get the right person. Because location's important, especially certain business locations, super important. But the pizza industry is not overly important because it comes down to marketing and it comes down to capturing your audience, because you just got to find the people that like your pizza and take care of them. Yeah. That's it, So we tailed back, and then we had the 4, and then from the 4 we, we had transitioned our company at that point, and then we just started growing, and our original, Liz and Eris are franchisees out in McMinnville and Newburgh now, so they opened up a new store, and then Nick from the West Salem store ended up opening up a Tannisbourne, and then we had an opportunity in Canby, and we did that. So it's we just kind of grow organically inside.
Oh, okay. So you have 8 now, right? 8. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And where are those 8 at?
We got 4 in Salem. So West Kaiser up on Lancaster, which is northeast Salem. And then South Salem, out there off Kubler Commercial. And then we have Newburgh, McMinnville, which McMinnville was our very first location. And then Tannisbourne and Canby.
What is your role? What do you do now? I know I'm
the company butterfly chaser.
The butterfly chaser? Okay. You come up with the great
I'm out
ideas.
there with my net and just...
Okay.
I'm
glad that you know what your role is.
I think the thing is like Sam, he takes care of the infrastructure. And I do all the rest of this stuff. I think it's all about relevance, trying to make sure that our company stays relevant and is always focusing on how to grow and teach people how to be more successful in the way they think and the way that they react and the way that they structure things. And so, because I think that the money is always the byproduct of that. Because if you can groom successful people, then that comes back to you somehow. Sometimes very differently. It's not necessarily money. Sometimes it could be contacts. It could be, situations. It could be a lot of different things. And so I've never turned away with where I'm at an opportunity to set some bricks in the road for down in the future.
I like that message you put out about helping people be successful.
Yeah.
And grow and not being so heavily focused on the money part of it, because the money does take care of itself if you do the right thing and you put the things in place. It's going to take care of itself. But my other thing that was really funny about, we've had these conversations about coming up with specials and stuff. What do you call, what was it that you call it? There's a word for it. The pizza that each store gets to have.
Prospect is like, I mean, like a AAA player. It's not
Right.
necessarily on the team,
Right.
and it's definitely not an all-star yet, but it's got the potential. And so each location can do a prospect pizza of their own.
like that.
And that way, I think what I wanted to do is, Sam and I sat and talked about, like, the framework of things. And for me, I think it was important for people that have a franchise, even though it's a franchise and it's supposed to be like, specific and all that. I don't like to take that entrepreneurial spirit away from people. And so the prospect pizza gives them an opportunity to play a little bit.
Yeah.
And like, some of the different things that we have in the locations, they have a little latitude on. Then that way we have the ability to market everything that everybody has. And then some of the things on the fringe that make their store a little bit more unique to them, they have that ability, but it just doesn't go on the main marketing platform. And so that way they can just play a little bit, have a little bit of fun, have a little bit of that entrepreneurial spirit, which I think is super important.
What about like developing new stuff? How do you approach that? Because I know you have like fresh items, and you use fresh ingredients and premium fresh ingredients, because your pizzas are bomb, and so they're really good.
Thank you.
So what and what do you do? Are you always doing research and development on different products?
I think it's
things
just keeping
to
your
do.
finger on the pulse.
Uh-huh.
Because there's a lot of stuff that comes down the pipeline that to me is just fluff stuff. Like I just am not a fan of certain things. Because it's kind of like I don't want to be one of the bees following the pack. And I think that, so I'm very particular about what I bring to the table, and also I use everybody's strengths around me, and so I'll take it there and ask everybody's opinion, which can be difficult because you kind of become the dartboard for whatever people feel and think and all that. And it can be kind of rough. And it's also difficult because if you have franchisees that don't like something, but the majority like it. I remember when we were testing wings, because our wing distributor discontinued our wing. And I'm like, okay. And this is when we were expanding our wing thing. So we said, this is a good opportunity to do all that. Well, you send wings out to everybody, and they're like, oh my God, this is the wonderful wing. We got to do this wing. And they're like, that is the worst wing ever,
Yeah.
And so when I do it, I would take, I had all the wings up, and we tested all of them, and we categorized them on a scale of 1 to 12. Add all those things up, you do the top, whatever got the most points. And it also is to food products too, because I would love to say that it's all mechanical, and that, once you have this piece of equipment that it's going to be the same. But in the food industry, it's different. And so you do have ebbs and flows. During parts of the season, your wings are going to be a little bigger. And you can spec them out and things like that, but there's always those variables. And so as you're testing the wings, you kind of weed a lot of that out. But so when it comes to developing products, a lot of it is just keeping your finger on the pulse, seeing what's coming down the pipeline. I go to Pizza Expo probably every third year with something specific in mind, which is a enormous event thing they hold in Vegas, where you get to see anything and everything that's involved in the industry.
Is there any cool new trends in the pizza industry?
Oh my gosh. Well, if you ask all our vendors, there's all kinds of trends.
Okay. Yeah.
For the most part, there's just all these things that you have to do and train, and it just can be pretty chaotic, and I'd rather just execute what we do already.
Yeah. Odd Moe's, tell me, there's one really cool thing that I always thought was cool that you guys did, and I'm not sure if you were the first ones, but you did it, and you did it really well, but you delivered beer with pizza?
Yeah, that was weird. One of our franchisees called me and goes, hey, I think the laws changed, and I think, is it possible we can deliver beer now? And I'm like, no, I hadn't heard, right? And this is all about the strength of using your workforce as well.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, cool. So I went down to the OLCC and asked them that question. I goes, oh, I was told that the laws changed and that we're able to actually distribute beer. And they're like, it just did, like, this month. I'm like, really? And so I stayed there that day. I signed everything up. I went and got them the paper they needed. I did everything I could. By the end of that day, we could deliver beer.
That's amazing.
And so I went to all the franchisees and got all of them set up and ready to go. And so we flipped that switch. And yeah, we were the very first ones in Oregon that delivered beer.
That's so cool.
And so that was kind of neat. But you would think it's like peanut butter and jelly with pizza. As far as like beer and pizzas, like peanut butter and jelly. But it took almost 2 years of marketing before people wrapped their heads around the fact that we could deliver beer.
Tell us a little bit more about something that you're most proud about, Odd Moe's, something that you do, something that nobody else would know on the regular mainstream about Odd Moe's. I want to hear it come from the Pizza King or the Pizza Master.
There's one thing, which is funny you say that, because I have not had any prep on these questions. So as soon as you started asking me, panic set in.
Okay.
I'm like, oh my God,
It's
oh my
really
God,
putting me
oh
on
my
the
God, what
spot.
the heck? But I would say that we put like raw beef and raw sausage on our pizzas. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that in the industry, people use pre-cooked products, and I call them kibbles and bits. That industry has made great strides, but still, it's not fresh. And it has a texture difference. There's a texture thing to it. And so most pizza places don't use fresh sausage or fresh beef. And so that's something about our company that I take a lot of pride in, the fact that we still pay attention to that kind of a detail when it comes to products. And like our vegetables, we hand cut our vegetables still. Mm-hmm. We don't, in the machine, because all that water just comes flushing out of them. And it's like then when you cook them, and they're already somewhat dried out already. And so this way, if you hand cut them, you can retain the moisture. And then that way, when they come out of the oven, they've been able to survive that.
I'm telling you right now, I'm hearing this, and my mouth is I'm starting to get a little drool in the corners because I'm getting hungry, and I know what the pizza, I've seen it, I've eaten it, and I know what it looks like, and now it's making me hungry. So I really enjoyed talking to you today. You're the pizza master. One of these days, I can't wait to see you throwing dough, because you tell me you're really good at tossing dough too. So.
Well, I used to be. I'm kind of mechanics may not be there.
Do you? Oh God, I got to check that out. I really appreciate you telling us your history about Odd Moe's and the pizza, and a little bit about Mike. Yeah. I got another really quick question. What does the WDB on your shirt stand for?
Oh, we used to put CGB on there. And people go, well, what's that? I go, that's cheesy garlic bread, because it would be like my way of getting the customers to remind the employees that they needed to promote the garlic cheese bread. Idea. So they come back and go, oh, hey, what's CGB? Oh, it's cheesy garlic bread. Oh, it's really, really good. Like, oh, I'll get one of those. Versus like, would you please try to sell cheesy garlic bread, because it's one of our signature products, you know? And I'm not a big upsell person, but I think that it's awareness. I think that if you tell people about different things you have, that they may not know you had. And so we like to promote different things in different ways, but it's really difficult to get people to do that. Yeah. So we did this, and we're not great. So WDB stands for, it's our newest, which is We Deliver Beer.
Oh, okay.
And so we've come up with different things on there.
Now you guys know that. And then when you're standing there at Odd Moe's ordering your pizza or picking up your order, and you see initials on there, you have to ask what that's for. So that way that person at the counter is going to get that cross-sell. And
BMC should be my next one. Bring Mike Cake.
Bring Mike Cake.
Yeah,
I have a cake out in my truck right now.
Bring it in.
From Michelle Ashley's custom cakes.
But it's some of those little things. Those are little things that I do. That I try to bring to the table.
We'll have part 2 down the road. Part 2, we'll get into a little bit more about Mike.
We're going to have part 1 with yours first.